We're going to give everybody a little bit of time to sign on since I kind of goofed with your announcement today. So give everybody a few minutes. All right, can you guys hear me? Yep. Okay, cool. Let's hope everybody else signs on eventually, but first of all, sorry about the confusion today. I sent out an email yesterday, but I sent it to the wrong class. So I'm slowly losing my mind this week. So I apologize, but thank you for looking at your announcements today. And as always, guys, if I confuse you, just send me a text or an email. I will get back to you. Okay. It's going to be short and sweet today, okay? We're gonna go over your lab, and then we are going to go I'm not going to go over every answer with you guys, but I want to show you the study guide and what you guys need to know. So if you have a question that is imperative, you can ask me now. And then the rest of the class time, obviously, you guys can use on studying. And then we'll talk about when your exam opens and things of that nature. Okay. All right. So you guys can all see this screen with the links on it, right? Okay. I'm probably going to have to describe this again to everybody that's not here. Okay. So since we're not going into the weight room right now, and it's really okay, we don't have to be in there right now. For this class, your Thursday class, we're supposed to be working on some different types of fitness assessments. Okay, so we've got cardio fitness assessments, muscular strength assessments for endurance, max strength, flexibility, things of that nature. So we're going to be breaking it all down in separate assignments. And then also, hopefully we can eventually get into the weight room on certain days and get some stuff done. But for now, we are going to be focusing on 3 different types of cardiovascular assessments, okay? So if you guys can see these links here, okay, none of the videos are long. I think at most a video is maybe 5 minutes, if that. There's going to be 3 different tests. So you have this link up here, that's for the Cooper 12-minute run test. This link down here, that's a 1.5 mile run test. And then the last link down here is for the Rockport, or I'm sorry, the last 2 links is for the Rockport 1 mile walk test. Okay, so basically your homework is just to watch each of these videos. Okay, so you've got 4 of them, and basically just answer the questions below. Each video is going to take you through what the actual assessment is, okay, what it measures, how you measure it, and just some general things about it. So for the first question after each video, it basically asks to describe in as much detail as possible the procedure, okay? I know some of us are a little bit more long-winded than others, okay? Some of us don't write as much. You need to try to put in every single amount of detail that you have. It's always better to put in more detail, okay? Because if I'm asking about the actual procedure of it, I want to know what you picked up from that video, okay? So if we take this, let's just take the 1.5 mile run test, okay? They did this test outside in the video, okay? Make sure you say that it was outside. Make sure you say the type of surface it was on, what equipment was needed, how they warmed up, how long that they did it, anything that you can actually grasp from that video, write that down in the first question. Okay, then it's also going to ask who the test is suited for. Each of these 3 tests is different. It's going to be better suited for certain individuals than other, maybe better suited for an athlete, maybe better suited for a beginner. It's going to say that in the video, so you will be able to pick up on that. Okay, and then it asks what it's trying to measure. Every single one of these videos is measuring the exact same thing. So you guys will be able to pick up on that. Okay, and then it asks what equations you use. Okay, so don't freak out on this part. There is in each video, there is a slide that shows the equation that you will do. So just make sure you guys pause it on that part and make sure you write it out, because we will have to practice these equations. You do not need to do anything with the actual equation right now. We will practice them. It looks a lot more daunting than it is. It really is not. Okay, and then the last section down here, it's just a couple questions to compare the videos. Okay, so you're gonna have to talk about the things that you notice that were different among the videos. There's plenty of things that are different in the videos. Whatever you can think of, write it down. Okay, then I also asked what test is best suited for an elderly individual that is out of shape. Okay, the test doesn't, or none of these tests specifically come out and say this is best suited for an elderly individual. I want you guys to try to think about it. You will grasp the concepts when you watch the video. It's really not that difficult. You will be able to tell which one is best suited for that individual. Okay, and then bonus question, and I'll tell you a little bit how you guys can answer that. Hold on, sorry. Okay. Bonus question asks is if you had a client that has high blood pressure and a history of heart disease in his family, would they need to get medical clearance before performing one of the tests above? What are some other risk factors to look for in that client? Okay, so our first week, we went over a lecture that gives you risk factors for heart disease. things such as family history, lifestyle, all those types of things. Go back to that. You will need to do this anyways when you are studying your exam, and that's how you guys can answer this question. Okay, I'm going to think about giving you guys extra credit if you can get this one somewhat correct, or at least if you can work to try to get the correct answer. Okay, right now, are there any questions on this whatsoever? Okay, you have a week to complete this. It is due next Thursday by the end of class. Okay, and then it is also listed. Let me share the other screen. Hang on a second for a minute. I have so many things that are open on my computer right now. Okay, I can't find it right now because I don't have that link open, but your Blackboard, it's listed under your assignments on Blackboard, okay, for this Thursday class, so 425, and then all the way at the bottom of the assignments. So if you just go to that link page, scroll all the way to the bottom, and it's gonna say cardio assessment video assignment, okay? If you have any questions and you cannot find it, just email me, I'll walk you through it again. Okay, so questions on any of this, or are we okay with our lab? It's pretty self-explanatory, I promise, especially when you guys get into it as well. Cool? All right, moving along so I can get you guys out of here and you can study, because I know you guys are all gonna study super, super hard. Okay, so, all right, you guys can all see the exam one study guide, correct? Okay, cool. Thanks, Kenzie, for giving me thumbs up.
So where is this study guide?
So this study guide, I was just going to say, this is posted for EXS 200 on Blackboard. Okay, it's going to be under course materials. So just go to course materials and you'll see exam one study guide. Again, if you have issues with finding it, guys, just let me know. I'll walk you through it. Okay. Okay, so the best way to study for this exam, you guys have filled out all 3 of your study guides. That's literally one of the best ways to study for it. Go through those again. Okay, like I said, there's not going to be anything on this exam that is out of left field. Okay, I've gone through it several times. Okay, so it's everything that we have gone over or we have covered in our actual study guides. So make sure you guys look over those again. I know the one that's probably freshest in your mind is chapter 3, obviously the cardiovascular system, but make sure you guys look at that again. So I kind of broke down on the study guide certain things that you need to look for, okay? It's not as long as your other study guides, okay? But let's just go through it super, super fast. I'm not gonna give you all the answers. If you have questions, ask. They're all in your slides. They're all things that we have gone over, and they are all in your chapter, the books in your chapter. So make sure you guys are using your book as well. Okay, so we kind of just talked about these ACSM risk factors. Let's make sure we are looking at those in our slides. So things like family history, smoking, hypertension, high cholesterol, okay? And then the total number of high cholesterol, where it teeters, okay? If you're over what certain number, is it bad? Obesity, so thinking about the weight, what weight qualifies for obesity, what BMI qualifies for obesity, okay? Blood glucose levels, that's in your slide. And then also sedentary lifestyle. Okay, it's a given that a sedentary lifestyle is a risk factor, but it also denotes in our slides how much exercise activity you should actually be getting. Okay, so that's really important in chapter 1. I know we have all those, like the history of working out. You don't need to focus that much on that. It's good for you guys to know that, but that's really not going to be on your exam. So that gives you one little thing that maybe you don't have to look at as much. Okay. So then obviously look over your OPT model. Make sure you look at each of the 3 phases. So stabilization, strength, and power. Know what each stage, what you're actually looking to do in that stage, okay? Obviously the test is multiple choice, so it's not gonna ask you to write it out, okay? So you'll be able to pick it out of multiple choice, but you have to know what they're asking. And then obviously remember we have the strength phase. That's also split into 3 phases. So just make sure you go over those 3 phases as well. I don't believe you're going to have to name any actual exercises in phases or anything along that line, because that's more so for the other class, so you don't have to worry about that. Just make sure you try to get your head thinking about that kind of stuff. Okay. Any questions on chapter 1 stuff? Cool. All right. Moving along. All right. So chapter 2, remember we have skeletal system, muscular system, nervous system, and then also endocrine system. Okay. So for the skeletal system, look over parts of the long bone. Okay. So there's like the diaphysis, epiphysis, all those types of things. Okay. Know where blood marrow is created. Okay. That's going to be something you're going to need to know. In the beginning of that chapter, it talks about the functions for the skeletal system. So review those. In all of your actual study guides that you have already, review the vocabulary just so you guys can familiarize yourself with that. Difference between osteoblasts and osteoclasts. So remember, those are the osteoblasts are creating bone, the osteoclasts are removing old bone. Okay, so look over that stuff. Then we get into the nervous system. Okay, so talk about or look at what the nervous system is, the branches of the nervous system. So the central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, look into those. What an action potential is. This is also in your muscular system chapter as well, because they kind of go hand in hand. How nerves are transfer throughout the body. Okay, so remember we have those motor neurons, we have those sensory neurons, those integrative neurons. Just make sure you know how they kind of work together. Again, not total specifics. You just have to know where they go from, what they go to, and where then they travel to. Okay, and then know the difference between afferent and efferent neurons. This is also in your slides, okay, and in your book. Okay. Moving to the muscular system, okay, so motor unit, know what that is. That's again going to be in your vocabulary. This is also on your study guides. You should have filled this out already. The layers of the muscle, okay. Again, it's going to be multiple choice. You don't actually have to label the muscle, but make sure you review that. Sliding filament theory, so review it. You're not going to have to write out the steps of this, but you have to somewhat know how a muscle contracts, how it starts with the nerve impulse to the action potential and then goes into those, remember that actin and myosin, what those two do, okay, in order for that sarcomere to come together, okay? So remember that sarcomere is a functional unit of your muscle, okay? That's where the contraction actually takes place. So yes, we just talked about actin and myosin. Make sure you review those. Muscle fiber types. Okay, so remember we have type 1, type 2A, and type 2X. Okay, review those. There are a few questions on that. So type 1, you guys have to know they're full of capillaries, things of that nature, more for endurance, can sustain contractions, but, can sustain contractions. They don't tire out quickly, but not as powerful. Okay, so then if you go to the opposite, which is type 2X, okay, they're very, very powerful. However, they can't sustain that contraction as long. And then remember that type 2A is that intermediate in the middle, okay? Then look over muscle spindles and Golgi tendon organs. Those are the receptors in your muscles, okay? So you have to remember what muscle spindles do, what your Golgi tendons do, okay? One helps to contract, one helps to relax. So I'll give you a hint, muscle spindles contract, Golgi tendons make the muscle relax, okay? So look over that stuff. Let me know if you have questions on that, okay? Endocrine system, there's not too many questions on there, but there's going to be at least 3 or 4, okay? So you guys do need to go over it. In your slides, it describes to you what the 3 things that hormones control in your body. Look over that. Have a general idea of what that lock and key theory is, okay, with those receptor cells and what they're looking for, okay? You just have to know the basics of it, okay? There's no steps required for this, just kind of what it means. Review the primary glands in the endocrine system. So remember, the pituitary gland is the main gland that's kind of controlling everything. And then also just review the following hormones. So review insulin, glucagon, growth hormone, testosterone, cortisol, estrogen, thyroid hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine. So what you need to know for these is just kind of what it does. Okay. You don't have to know all the specifics. Hey, it comes from here. It goes to this, nothing along those lines. You have to know that obviously insulin lowers your blood sugar, glucagon raises your blood sugar. So those are the types of things that you have to know. So if there's a question on the exam, it's going to ask you something along those lines of, this is happening, what hormone would come in to raise the blood sugar? Okay, so then that's how you do it. And then you guys will need to review chapter 3. Okay, so we went over this yesterday. So I didn't put it on the study guide because literally that study guide that you guys have is perfect for you guys to go through it and study off of that. So let's make sure we know the 4 chambers of the heart. And then also really study that blood flow chart. Okay, so where it starts, how it goes through the heart to the lungs, back from the lungs into the heart, out to the body. Okay, how it goes into the cells and what it's following to get back to the heart. Okay, and then for your respiratory system, just review that. I think there's maybe 2 questions on it, so not very extensive. So whatever you have on that actual study guide of yours is perfect. You don't need to go any further into that as well. Okay, are there any specific questions on this little study guide that I put together?
Okay, is this due? Like, do we have to do this study guide?
Nope. Not due. This is just for you as a frame of reference. Hey, these are the things I need to go over before I take the exam. Or if you know some of these things and pretend you don't know the OPT stages very well, then maybe focus on that. It's just a reference point for you guys to look at before you guys take your actual exam. But you do not need to turn it in. It is your prerogative whether you use this or not, kind of thing. Okay. Any other questions on this or leading up to the exam? Okay, with that being said, your exam opens up today at 1:30. Okay, so you guys have about an hour still before the exam opens up. You do not need to take it right away at 1:30, so don't freak out. It's open from 1:30 today until 11:59 on Sunday evening. Okay, so if you sign on at midnight, you can't take it, all right? And then as soon, or when you guys sign on, you have to take it in one sitting, okay? So it's not going to be something that you can turn off and then revisit later. You're gonna need to just go on, sign on, do the entire exam. You have 2 hours, so make sure you guys give yourself plenty of time, and you are allowed to use all the notes that you have, okay? So obviously, your study guides, your chapter, any of the your chapters in your book, or any of the notes that you guys took, all right? If for some reason your exam closes out, weird stuff has happened, okay, you guys need to email me right away so I can open it back up for you. But like I said, if you guys email me at like 9 o'clock on Sunday night, I'm not going to respond to you. So do that before in case there is a problem, okay? The way it's set up is it's gonna show you 1 question at a time. It's not completely listed. You can go back and forth and look at it before you completely submit it. Okay, but it's just 1 question at a time. Okay, any questions whatsoever on this or the lab that you guys are going to have to do? Nope. Okay, if you are okay then, I will post an announcement right now to remind you guys about the lab. And I will also post our announcement in the Tuesday class Blackboard to remind you about the exam. If you come up with any questions in the interim for your exam or your lab, just email me, text me, and we can chat about it via Zoom or just over the email, okay? If you guys are okay, I'll hang out for a few minutes. Otherwise, happy studying, good luck, and I will see you guys next week. Okay, have a good weekend.